Hello and welcome. You're watching Business Today television. I'm Sakshi Batra and this is BTS. That's Behind the Scenes, a show where we share a sneak peek of the latest edition of the Business Today magazine with all our viewers. Well, the issue that we have this time is a very special one because we focus on how India at 100 will be, which is to tap how India and Indians are confidently moving towards the 2047 goal, India's 100 years of independence. And this issue will look at the mega trends which will power India at 100 and what will India look like in 2047 and how India's journey to Viksit Bharat will also look like. I'm just going to give you a quick glimpse into the edition right here. So you do have the key, stalwarts who have talked about how India could be looking at 2047. What are the things we need to achieve to really be that, achieve the goal of Viksit Bharat and be the developed nation that we have. And of course, this will have a lot more to be discussed. Joining in are two very special, people with me on this show. We have my colleagues Surabhi and Richa Sharma, who've contributed greatly to this edition and who will be in a better position to share with us what has gone into this massive issue right here. So warm welcome to both of you and thank you so much for taking the time out. I'm going to be starting off this discussion, Surabhi, with you. Of course, this new issue on India at 100. Do tell our viewers at the outset what are the key themes that Business Today has really forecast when it comes to India tracking the journey to 2047 and being a Viksit Bharat?
So thank you so much, Sakshi, for having me on the show. And yeah, as you mentioned, the India at 100 series is the issue is a very forward-looking one, and we've tried to envisage what the country would be like 25, 23, 25 years down the line. So while we see the economy growing to say a 30 trillion economy by then and being one of the largest economies in the world, we also see that corporate profits would rise substantially and markets would also see the impact. And what we have tried to do with this edition is to see the key trends and the key ideas, about 10 to 15 key ideas that will shape the country over the next 20, 25 years. Some of these we are already seeing, like the advent of AI and technology and renewable energy, green energy, smart cars. There are also a lot of other issues that we've looked at, our huge population and how it's going to turn out, the rise of consumerism and the huge market we offer, India's attempt to become the global manufacturing hub. So we've tried to take up these key issues. Another key issue is, of course, the financial sector innovations that we've been working on, whether it's the digital rupee or the UPI. These are some of the key issues. The whole idea is to see how these will pan out over the next 20, 25 years and the key challenges that we see that need to be addressed now or in the next few years, so that we can actually move towards being a much better and much more developed economy than what we are today.
Okay, got that. Now, of course, apart from this, I think the one key concern that everybody has on their back of their mind is that we are still the largest population in the world, Surabhi. So, will that be a problem for us as we try to keep our growth engines moving? Because as we inch closer to that 2047 goal, we are also going to be seeing the population from these levels also swell many times over.
Absolutely. Our population is, you can call it a demographic dividend or you can call it a demographic challenge. And I think it's one of the things which really defines India as a country. We've already overtaken China. And I think, according to various projections, our population is going to continue rising for the next few years, and we will have the world's largest working age population. So this also means that our domestic market is going to be so dynamic that irrespective of what happens globally, we will continue to grow as an economy. But the need of the hour right now is to skill our population, make sure that the social and health indicators are good. We have good literacy rates. They're educated. They're ready for Industry 4.0 as we speak, so that they can all be in good high paying jobs. That's how the economy is going to grow further. Otherwise, it's going to be a challenge. So that's one of the issues that we really, really need to focus on, and that's an issue that we've also taken up in the art, in the story strength in numbers. We've also, the other major problem with our population going forward would be that, according to certain estimates, by 2060 we'd have 15% of our population which would be over 60 years of age. which means that we also need to look at retirement benefits, social security benefits for this population. So this is yet another issue that we have to look at. But of course, it also means that, our population as we grow gives us the chance to become a huge, huge market. We've already seen a lot of companies, multinational companies coming to India, setting up shop because they see the opportunity in our population. And the rise of consumerism in India is another trend we should watch out for, because we could become potentially the world's second largest market going ahead.
Yes, true. One more thing that I had in mind, this time around in this special edition, while we will be also discussing some more key themes with Richa as well that have gone into this edition as well. But we've also covered the business confidence index, Surabhi, and you've covered that. So that's also extremely important for us to really understand as to, at least for the near term, where are we headed when it comes to the economy at large. Just few days back, we've actually seen how the GDP data did show some moderation as well. So going forward, what is the sense that you're going to be getting, and what has been the key indicators as far as the Q1 survey results are concerned?
Thank you. That's another very interesting question that you've put forward. And the results of the survey, the Business Confidence Index survey, which we carry out every quarter, were also very interesting and very telling in this sense. So this time we slightly delayed the survey because we wanted to also capture the impact of the union budget, which took place in July. And overall, what we've seen is that businesses remain very confident about growth prospects, about how the economy is doing. And the BCI at about 56.5 was the second highest since the first quarter of 2015-16, which is a very telling indicator. We had the pandemic and everything in between. So business confidence is there. They're confident about profits. They're confident about growth going forward. And as we've seen in the past, it's the big size business and the medium sized businesses which are more confident. There is confidence in the smaller and micro businesses as well, but it's taking time to get back, fully on track for them. However, the one big thing that we've seen is that businesses still remain cautious in terms of investment plans and in terms of hiring. So, although we have the festive season coming up, the sentiments on hiring remains quite muted. So, when we spoke to analysts, a lot of them say that this is not because of, the domestic economy, but they're concerns about how the US economy is going to do, what's going to take place globally, and of course, the US elections are a key thing to watch out for.
Yes.
So all in all, I would say that businesses are very confident, but yes, they're biding their time in terms of investments and hirings.
Fair enough. Point noted right there, Surabhi, on that. Stay on with us. In the meanwhile, I'll get Richa on board into the conversation as well. Richa, like you heard Surabhi also, we've discussed so many insights as to what are the key themes that BT has tracked when it comes to India's journey towards 2047. You have clearly tapped on the energy bit, which is going to be extremely important. India itself has set a net zero target when it comes to emissions by 2070. So I want to understand, by the middle time, 2047, what role will energy transition really play in India's 2047 vision?
Thank you, Sakshi. And picking up from where Surbi left, that India will be a $30 trillion economy by
Yes.
2047. But when we talk about our economy growing at that scale, but our development and economy has to grow as a low carbon economy. And the challenge is, how do we make it as a low carbon when we have our needs of development, when the 30 to 40, only like 60% of India is yet to be built, the infrastructure development has to happen. So we have to keep in mind, and there are three important milestones, if I may put. One is 2030, 2047, and as you mentioned, our net zero 2070 goal. So when it comes to 2047, that is where, when we see that our grids would be green, our our transport sector would have transitioned towards low carbon with EV, and post 2047 will see the sectors which are hard to abate sectors like steel, cement or fertilizer, when the focus will come to them for those really carbon intensive industries to shift. And for, when we talk about 2047, we have to keep in mind there are three things. One is that how do we expand our solar, wind and energy storage, which will be the key source of energy when we talk about 2047, which is the green sources of energy. Second, we have to keep in mind our grid modernization, because there have been lot of power loss because of the old kind of grids. And third is the finance which will be needed. Now, if we look at the scenario today, we have, 2030 government has put a target of 500 gigawatt of non-fossil fuel energy. Where we stand right now, we have to actually multiply 5 times to 6 times every year to reach that target. And that means we have to grow really faster. Our energy, green energy, solar and wind need to come up very fast if we have to achieve that growth. Second important thing is that industrial decarbonization, because our industry is one of the major source of carbon. So we have to keep in mind the industrial decarbonization and what industries will do. Some of the big companies like Reliance, Tata have kept a net zero target of 2035, which is like when the India target is 2070, and these industries which are into chemicals and refineries, if they are setting a target of 2035, which means they really need to push in hard to get that green energy sources. So industrial decarbonization is a very important thing where a lot of industries are working on these things.
One key question that comes to mind when we are looking at such massive plans and how this industry is poised to grow if we need to meet those targets is, how will these massive projects be financed? Where will the funding really come in from? And how much money will be needed to really fulfill all these dream goals when it comes to energy transition? What have you heard on that?
See, this is the biggest problem. You go to any conference, even our, India at 100 BT conference, this question was asked several times, that where will the finance come for? And if I may just put a small number, which according to the International Energy Agency, and they have said that for India to transition to meet its 2070 goal, like the 2030 goal, it would need $160 billion per year from today to 2030, which is like 3 times every year. Now the challenge is, where will this money come from? And government has been pushing, government has announced green hydrogen, government has announced incentives for the nuclear energy, a green hydrogen mission with 19,700 crore. But as in said, what experts say, that public investment, just public investment is not enough. We would need private investments. Now, you talk to any of the private investors and they put certain things, they want that there should be concessional loans, there'll be loans at low interest and for the long-term capital. They would suggest that they need blended finance, they need tax benefits, they need performance. If an industry is today investing in a green energy, they want some kind of performance-linked incentives. If you're investing so much, so some kind of, support should come from the government. So this remains a big challenge, but yes, everybody is putting their mind together, their heads together to meet that challenge.
Absolutely. Well, I'll thank you both, Richa and Surabhi, for sharing such wonderful insights with all our viewers right there. So viewers, you would have got a glimpse of what this massive issue is really composed of. So definitely go ahead and grab your copies. This one you shouldn't definitely miss, because this will be a window to what you should be really looking forward to when it comes to India's goal of 2047 being a developed nation, how massive industries, the economy as a whole, various sectors will be poised to grow, and this will give you an insight as to what can you expect over the next 25 years, the Amrit Kal that's been talked about for the Indian economy at large as well. So with that, we wrap up this special edition on BTS. I hope this has given you a lot of insight. Do stay tuned on to Business Today Television. There's a lot more lined up for you to come up on your screens, and don't miss out on grabbing that copy. It's already on the stands.